Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you a weekly energy update for the dates of February 7th through the 13th. It's a very powerful week where there's a really massive opportunity to upgrade yourself on all levels. Yourself, your sense of self, your purpose, what you're doing, the way you're carrying yourself, the way you're expressing yourself. And of course, that all reflects into your life circumstance. There's an opportunity for a massive improvement, a massive upgrade, is the best way I could put it, for your life here on planet Earth. Number one, you might notice yourself already, or you feel like you should level up. This is something that we need to do in order to really accomplish this huge upgrade. We need to become a match for this other version of ourselves that's at a higher frequency and this other life circumstance that revolves around it. So there can be many things connected to leveling up, and certain ones will of course probably be emphasized by you based on relevance. So an example of this would be letting go of a habit, letting go of something that you've been doing maybe a lot of your life, and you know it's not serving you. But until now, it wasn't necessarily a huge issue, and all of a sudden it's becoming a big issue. This can be an obvious thing, like an addiction. Maybe if you're like getting drunk every night, obviously, you're waking up and you're not being productive. For a lot of you, it'll be less obvious, less big than that. For example, one of mine was a long time ago before I started sharing on YouTube, and I felt this kind of coming. I felt myself getting ready to level up, you could say. I noticed how I had this sort of weird habit where at that time in my life, I was a medical marijuana grower, and I would go down in my basement and check on the plants like 20, 30 times a day. It was a habit. It was an obsession. Because these plants, man, when they get to a certain point in the flowering cycle, they would grow so quickly. Every time I'd go down, it's like, oh, they're a little bit bigger. They're a little bit, it's always like something kind of new. It was like really, anyway, it wasn't a huge deal. One could say, oh, you're just proud of your plants, Vic. But I was spending entirely too much time checking on the plants unnecessarily. It was a habit. And I knew it was just taking too much time, and I had to let it go. So what is it for you? Where are you focusing your attention, maybe repetitively, compulsively, that's just taking away your finite reservoir of daily energy? Because you're gonna need to bring all of yourself, at least more of yourself, to this next level expression of your life. Another thing that can be a component of this is what I call upgrading your space. It's almost like we set the stage. It's almost like when you're gonna have a baby. You know, most wives, most of the women who are gonna have a baby, they make the room perfect. They clean the house frantically, and the bed is, the little crib is all nice. There's cool, beautiful pink pictures on the wall, and they create this space before the baby is even there. They wanna create a space that's supportive to the baby, that nurtures the baby, that makes the baby feel happy, safe, and loved. Now, we sometimes tend to do this for ourselves, to give, as we're giving birth or about to give birth to this next level version of ourselves. You might find yourself purging old items. So it's a good time to really just part with the things that don't resonate with you fully at this time, and clear the space. Give yourself an open canvas and allow the new to come in. Another thing I'm doing is I'm redecorating this workspace for myself. I too am getting ready to go into a new level of Victor. And for whatever reason, I've just felt naturally compelled to redecorate and sort of like mess around with this room over here, which you'll soon see once it's all done. And for whatever reason, this simple mundane activity of rearranging this particular room for my new office, it's just filling me with excitement and expansiveness. And I feel so excited about it at a level that doesn't even make any sense. It's just a room, and I know that. But it's more than a room. It's me taking action and preparing a space for this new me to come online. And there's a part of me that can feel that really knows that. So it's not like I'm redecorating a room. It's like I'm getting a taste of what's coming through. And it's an amazing thing. So you might find in your own way you need to situate your environment so that it's no longer reinforcing the old you, rather supporting and is conducive to this new version of yourself. And one last thing I do want to share about this aspect of leveling up, it's also a fantastic time to invest in yourself in some way. This could be taking an online course, getting certified with something that's going to add to your human skill set, to your brain power, that's going to allow you to do whatever it is you want to go do at a higher level. I remember when I was a coach, I was a good coach for a while, and I was like an intuitive type of coach. I had different things I would have my clients do. But one day I was like typing out an email or something, and all of a sudden, I forgot how it happened, but somehow an ad popped up or something on Facebook, and I saw this like QHHT certification program by Dolores Cannon. And this program just like, the way it popped up just seemed synchronistic to me. So I like stopped what I was doing and I followed this little rabbit hole, and it was this sort of expensive, like $1,200 or something online program. And I was like, I don't know if I should do it, you know, but something just felt right about it, and I did it. And not only did it allow me to be way more of an effective coach, because it's such a powerful skill to have, but it also was it felt super appropriate to be doing that. What I mean is, once I got this program, for like a month straight, I would wake up in the morning and go on these walks, and I would listen to like the content of the program on my like ear pods. And I don't know, there's something about walking in the sun and listening, like it just felt so exciting, so resonant, I could say. And it's like that, it's that type of energy right now, where not only is it like a wise time to invest in yourself, just so you're practically speaking a more effective version of you and whatever that means for you, but it's also, you probably will find it's a lot of fun. It can really help shake you out of a funk. I know for me, there's this other new thing I'm doing right now currently, a different program. That's kind of why I'm talking about this. But prior to that, I felt kind of like I was getting bogged down by stupid little mindless habits, and I felt myself just a little less content than normal. And in me just learning something new each and every day, it's almost like filled up my happiness cup. And a lot of those little minor, unconscious little habits have sort of fallen away naturally. And what I'm learning is going to benefit me. So it's just a fantastic time, my friends, if I haven't convinced you enough, to level up in some way. Number 2, speaking up, but with awareness. I'll explain. What comes to mind is this theory, you could say. A theory or I would call it a theory, by this guy named Bashar. Bashar is he's a channel, an ET channel. You can take that for what you will. He's a channeler. And Bashar has this idea of what he calls the splitting prism. A lot of you have probably heard of it in some way, in some form. And the splitting prism implies what's happening on the planet right now, where the vibration is increasing. And what's happening is, for a long time, planet Earth was this mixed bag, this melting pot of all these different frequencies, all these different vibrations. You had people like Jesus, you're super enlightened. Then you had, Adolf Hitler on the other opposite end of the spectrum, and everything in between. But what's happening now, because the frequency is raising, it's no longer allowing this mixed bag of vibrations to coexist so much. So what is said to be happening is, whatever your frequency is, you're going to start sort of attracting a life scenario, including people, and sort of splintering off into your own kind of reality, into your own reality bubble, where these other unlike frequencies no longer can even be a part of that. And this is something, like Dolores Cannon talks about it as being the new earth. And some people are going to the new earth, and other people aren't going to the new earth. It's kind of like that whole premise many of you have talked about. But what I see happening is a lot less linear, less finite than that. And I think what we're experiencing right now is that on a much more complex and precise level. Meaning, if I were to show up right on my worst day and make a video, you would all say, Victor is a super low vibration dude. I'm done with him. If you were to show up at your absolute best, people would say, wow, they're glowing, you're enlightened, you're amazing. But the truth is, we all have both of those elements within ourselves. And what you might find happening is that this splitting prism effect is happening within your relationships, but not in an all or nothing way. Some are making the cut, some are not. It's almost like there are certain aspects of you that can no longer tolerate certain aspects of other people. And there's these like subtle rearrangements happening within relationship dynamics. There might be some people, for example, me and Aaron, best friend of mine, the brother, we were gonna like really partner up and we were gonna work together and sort of merge our businesses. And it sounded like a good idea, but as we started to do that, it felt like there was so much resistance. We just realized this is not the move to make. And there was a lot of just dissonance, a lot of like, I would say like butting heads, you could say, which is very unlike us. We usually get along beautifully. But that wasn't to say that we're done, we're not gonna be in each other's lives. It was saying, you're not gonna go into business this intimately with this person. So now that we sort of found that balance, it's like there's harmony, there's synergy, it's all good, it's all gravy. And you might find that you might have to speak up though. This is not the time to like be quiet and put up with aspects of other people that are not resonating, because it'll just drive you crazy. You won't be able to keep your mouth shut for long. And if you don't speak up with awareness, if you don't speak your truth sort of politely in the moment, it's gonna come out another time in a more explosive way where you might regret something you say. It's not the time to agree to help that needy friend move if when it comes time to moving, you're not gonna wanna do it. It's a time to be more honest, more just speaking your truth, speaking up, but with politeness, without judgment, with the understanding that just because you don't agree with a person's perspective on something or you don't align with it doesn't mean they're flawed or they're wrong. It doesn't mean that you are right. It just means that this particular thread needs to be cut, but there are many threads. I hope that made sense. That sounded kind of confusing. Another way you might notice this playing out is with your really close relationships. You might have a lot more awareness into the people you love the most, the people that are close to you than ever before. And you might be able to see their shadow more clearly. And this is actually very valuable and can allow you to be sympathetic to it and maybe adjust some of the things you were doing that was triggering them unknowingly to you. And I'll give an example, because this is all kind of sounding heady, even for me. My middle son, Lucas, is an amazing reader. And he's constantly sneaking into my daughter's room and taking her books. She's 12. But my daughter, it pisses her right off. And she's been making a big deal out of it. And it's happened a few times recently. And I would always say, Maya, I bought all the books. Let him use it. But it would just, I could tell it was ticking her off more than it should. And she kept bringing up this thing where she was like, Dad, there was a time I wanted to read one of his books and you said no, they're Luke's books. And she brought that one little experience up over and over and over again to the finally when I'm like, what is this about? And she kind of like got emotional and she didn't know how to express it. But anyway, this led to something coming to light that I never knew before about my daughter. And it's that I believe, because she's the oldest, that when we gave birth to my other two sons, Luke and Sebastian, it was a big deal for her, because she went from being like the apple of my and my wife's eyes and just getting all the attention to all of a sudden having to share that with another needy being who's a brand new baby. And I think it was like just an emotional shock for her, and it's caused her to kind of have just certain, I would say, wounds or traumas associated with that. Anyway, this is all unbeknownst to me. Before I was just reacting as a parent, and all of a sudden I could just see this very clearly. And it's allowed me to adjust my behavior in sympathy, with empathy, because of that thing she has within herself. So, as an example, Been playing a lot of basketball with her, just her. The boys are not allowed to play. Little things like that, because of my mindfulness of where she's at, has really bridged a big gap between us. But it took some soul searching. Once there was this sort of nice outcome, as I mentioned, this harmony, came after like a big blowout we had with the family, and me not being able to really sleep, just feeling like there's something off, man. There's some resistance in our relationship, and it was bugging me, and I was thinking about it. I was talking to my wife about it. So my point is, like, you really be able to harmonize yourself in relation with others in a deeper, more beautiful way, where there's more love and there's more resonance. But it does take some work, it does take some effort, but just know that the potential is there. And number 3, there's a huge opportunity to align more fully with your life purpose. And for some of you, this might mean going back to something you've already done before. For an example for me is, on and off throughout my life, I've been a coach. For a while, I was a personal trainer, as I shared many times. And then all of a sudden, that became kind of unfulfilling, and I moved on. And then, like, later on in life, I picked up awakening coaching, where I'd talk to people like you on the phone, and I'd coach you through this transformation process, and that was fantastic. But then eventually just sort of phased out. And now I'm coming back where I'm going to be doing like business coaching, where I'm going to be helping light workers, people like you who want to do kind of what I'm doing, who want to start an online following and be like an online coach or a healer. And I'm going to like help you types of folks grow your business, because I like learning about all that kind of stuff, honestly. And it just feels exciting. And that's kind of why I'm redecorating my room. I'm getting prepared for this new level, this new version of myself. And as simple as this all sounds, sounds like I'm just sort of talking about myself. It's more of like the degree of resonance with all of it. The idea of, at one point of being a coach, when it was time to phase out, just seemed like miserable, very heavy. Like, I don't want to ever be a coach again. I'm done. And now it's like there's this new way of doing it that's more of a representation of where I'm at now. And it just lights me up, it excites me. But regardless, it's a very good time to really get clear and also start doing and align yourself for this new depth of living your life purpose. And I know this has been a theme, it's all month. I wish every week was a completely different theme for you guys, but it's a big deal. It really is a big deal to start living your life purpose in a very real way. Because when you do, everything else falls into place. And there comes a point on your spiritual awakening journey where you just can't ignore it. You can't not live your purpose. You start to realize you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. You'll never be able to show up at your potential for those in your life that you love. And it does take a lot of courage. And it is super scary. And it is, oftentimes the path is extremely unclear. All you really have is some sort of faint knowing that this is what I should pursue. But the details, they come from like almost like a sloppy trial and error, peaks and valleys, successes and failures. And it's a sort of a rocky journey that you must take. You must take. And it's time to take it. And the energy this week is where you'll find, I believe, success with that. You'll find clarity. You'll find that things maybe start to come together synchronistically and more easily than they may have in the past. Because there can be a while when it is a lot of sloppy trial and error. The desire to find your purpose is just always knocking at your door, but you don't know what it is, and you keep trying things, and they're not that, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this, and it's like, you just want to pull your hair out. But that's all part of the clarity. It's all part of coming into it. And this week is going to be a week where you not only get the clarity, I believe, but you really start to like step into that in a big way. And real quick before I move on, one of the reasons it can be so hard to find your life purpose is because we oftentimes can't help ourselves but seek it through the mind. Give an example. I become like a diehard fan of Will Smith as of like the last month. And my family and I, we all now watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Just real quick, this does relate. And last night I was like home by myself on watching YouTube. It was kind of late. The kids were in bed. And I was watching like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion. And Will Smith was on there talking, and he was saying that he was explaining what it was like for them all being on the set and how it was a huge deal. Every Friday they had these tapings of it. And he said when they would get together, him and the cast. He said there was just a magnificent synergy that can't be explained, it can't be fabricated, it just sort of all aligned, and they all felt that there was this magic that they all shared that caused this show to be just phenomenal, the way that they all worked together. And your life purpose is kind of like that in a sense, where one could look at the TV show of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and say, oh, it was good because they had good actors and actresses. They had good writing. It was the right timing. It was this, you could break their purpose, their magnificent expression down in sort of a heady way, but it's not gonna do it. It's not gonna even come close. And that's kind of why it's so hard to find your life purpose, because we're trying to do that. We're trying to find ourselves out there by comparing ourselves to others, when it's more like the more we just take a freaking sabbatical and go off, and it's going to be found in here. The more you get to know yourself, not in relation to everything else in your external reality, but when you get to know your soul, that's when you can hear the call. And again, that call is going to be like a 2-word statement: coach. And you're like, what kind of coach? When? Well, then it's up to you. You got to go within. If you go within this week, you're gonna really get that clarity. You're not going to find it from outside. And once you have that clarity, you just move forward. And I believe for a lot of you, things will start to fall into place more easily because the timing is ripe. The timing has been building you up for this time, for this next level version of yourself, your expression, your purpose, and all that results in a more aligned life. Better everything, more of an upgraded scenario, more resonance, more flow, more ease, more joy. And this one thing will help you a lot. Be able to make this huge upgrade. And in my opinion, this is gonna be essential. This is not gonna be something any of us can do without. It says right there, stay true. What I mean by that is the more honest, the more in integrity, the more humble, the more authentic you are, regardless of what that looks like, the more you will succeed in this new energy. The energy of the planet will no longer support inauthentic, egoic, sort of disconnected energies, you could say. And I'll give an example of like why we should do this, not because I'm just saying that. It's more like it actually works better as well. Going back to my coaching example, I remember when I first started doing sales calls, I hated it. I had all these blocks about selling. I didn't want to sell. I thought it was bad kind of thing. And then once I learned how to sell, I learned like a formula that is actually pretty honest in my opinion. It's very honest. It's perfectly honest, very transparent, but it's also effective. It's a good process. It's effective. And when I started doing it, it wasn't still working, even though I knew it should. And I found out it wasn't working because I wanted to make the sale. And this is what I mean about I wasn't staying true. And it just dawned on me like, Victor, you're just trying to make the sale, man. These people can feel that. So instead, that very next call, I remember I had this epiphany in like the middle of a bunch of calls. I had this very next call, I made this choice to just go at it differently. I said, I'm just gonna try to get to know this person. And I'm gonna genuinely see if I can help them. And I did that. And for one, I enjoyed the sales calls. I enjoyed talking to the people. But way more people started signing up from that moment forward. Because on sort of a subconscious level, they could feel that Victor just wants to help. And that's the truth. And it resonated with them. You're gonna find in life, there are many different ways to sort of cut corners and justify moves that maybe aren't in harmony with your highest integrity. And what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, is it's not going to work anymore anyways. And you can have a lot of success, a lot of forward progress, abundance, all the things you want when you operate from this pure place. But what can be challenging is this pure, once you start to go within and find out who it is you are and who your soul is and what they came to express, you might find that there's like, man, there's no place for that in the world. I don't know where that's going to be. And it can cause people to sort of modify who they are, to fit into the mold they think they need to fit into. But we are living in a time that is like, never have free spirits been so supported to be their true self. So if you find yourself stuck this week, if you find yourself running into roadblocks, it literally could be a simple matter of coming back into your heart. Even just this thing I did, coming back, bringing your hands over your heart, and tuning in. It's always so clear. It's always so clear. And if you really can follow your heart this week and just for the rest of your life, you're going to thrive. You're going to thrive beyond what you can even imagine in this energy. And by the way, my friends, real quick before I go, if you find that you're stuck with the life purpose thing, I have a video that I think might help you. I'll leave a link up there. It's called 10 Empath Superpowers. Most of you folks who watch me are empathic people and have very unique and valuable gifts to offer. But a lot of times those gifts are perceived as problems and flaws. This video up here is going to help sort of shift that perspective and bring to your attention all the gifts you have that will make it a lot easier to find your life purpose. Have an amazing week, my friends. See you next time. Peace.